So there's been a lot of discussion going on around Twitter and overall Romancelandia about what constitutes a romance novel, and I wanted to share my thoughts. Hi guys, my name is Ezra and welcome back to my channel. Romancelandia has been in a tizzy for a few days, and it's specifically because of what constitutes a romance novel. So I've actually posted a few things on Twitter, and so what? Okay. So I don't think I'm going to be as articulate as everybody will be when talking about romance and the romance genre as a whole, but I'll try to for this one. And I really want to speak my thoughts on it. And while this might be an unpopular opinion, or I might not have the same opinions as everybody, this is my opinion, and I am not here to bash anybody. Let's define what a romance novel is. I actually went back to the RWA, the Romance Writers of America, to see how they define romance novels. They basically say that there are two basic elements for every romance. It has to have a central love story, and it has to have an emotionally satisfying and optimistic ending, right? So obviously the definition for a romance novel has changed throughout the years, but this is the one that they have right now. If you've been on Romancelandia for a while, and if you've been a romance reader, you know that there are two things that make a romance novel. And it is HEA or HFN. In other words, the happy ever after or the happy for now. And a lot of romance readers are very passionate about those definitions, and in fact require those to be in every romance novel. I'm actually one of those readers. When you say your book is a romance novel, I expect it to be a romance novel, meaning in the end, the main couple or throuple has to be together, has to have a happy for now or a happy ever after. And that is a requirement for a lot of us romance readers. And I've been a little bit disappointed in a lot of big publishers. To be honest, I haven't seen this a lot in indie publishing, but I have seen this in the trad publishers, where they market a book as a romance novel, and here you go, excited reader, go and read it, and it's in fact not a romance novel. And I'm absolutely tired about it. I'm just tired. There is nothing wrong in marketing your books as women's fiction, literary fiction, historical fiction, romantic fiction, what have you. But if you market it as a romance novel, I expect to have an HEA or an HFN in the end. Now, my issue here is that, I don't even know if I'm making sense, but my issue here is that when publishers and authors market their books as a romance, but they're not a romance, it's really disappointing. And I guess there's going to be an argument again with this one, with how the book covers are designed. So we do know that book covers are a way to market your book. So when you see a book like this, you would know that it is a romance, and it is a historical romance. Another example I have here is The Summer of Sunshine and Margot by Susan Mallory. So this book screams women's fiction, and even though it is published by Harlequin, this is a women's fiction novel. And you can tell from the cover alone that this is not a romance novel. Editing Ezra here, and I just want to emphasize one thing. Before I even knew what a romance novel was, before I was an official romance novel reader, when I was 11, I went to a used bookstore. At that time, I was really interested in reading things set in the past. So naturally, I gravitated towards books that had gorgeous gowns on them. And the more I went back to that used bookstore, the more I gravitated towards books like that because I already knew what to expect. So, what I'm saying is that the covers actually are a form of marketing or a way to let the readers know what to expect. In fact, I did not even pick up a Nora Roberts book because I did not know that Nora Roberts wrote romance specifically because of the covers. I did not bother reading the blurb in the back to find out if they were romance. I actually found out that Nora Roberts wrote romance a few years ago. So I guess what I'm saying here is that these things are marketing tools and these are supposed to inform the consumer what you're about to expect. So for example, and I've made this example on my Twitter and I tweeted about it. Let me go and read it. So this is my tweet and I'm going to read it for you. So when you pick up a book marketed as horror and the book is actually a fantasy, would you be happy about it? If you read a mystery and the mystery is solved in the end, would you be a satisfied reader? If a book is nonfiction and it turns out to be fiction, wouldn't you be pissed about it? There is a reason genres are defined, for readers to know what to expect. I can't deal with a gotcha, it's not a romance novel, wahahaha, while marketing as such. So, I'm saying this again. If you're marketing it as romance, because you want romance readers to purchase the book, then it better be a romance novel. There is nothing wrong with marketing your book as not a romance if it is not a romance. There is no gatekeeping here. There is no censorship here. Heck, the books are published. The books are being published. It's not censorship. It's even not gatekeeping. It's just not a romance. You can't tell me that A Walk to Remember by Nicholas Sparks is a romance. You can't tell me that Me Before You by Jojo Moyes is romance. Both books, granted, they're good. I've actually read A Walk to Remember. I gave it 5 stars. I love it. It is not a romance, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just pissed because romance is always talked about as inferior, and people who write literary fiction, not all, but some people who write literary fiction actually scoff at romance, but also don't mind that their books are published as romance because they know the romance readers will shell out the money. They know the romance readers are readers. They reread a lot is what I mean. So I don't get it. I don't get why it has to be published as a romance when it's not a romance. Please stop. Publishers, please, if you are a known publisher of romance novels and you and you promote a book as a romance, as a rom-com, as a romance, as a contemporary romance, then there better be an HEA and HFN. I just can't. If somebody that I trust posts about, reviews a book and says it is not a romance, I'm not picking the book up. I just can't. I'm not. I read romance and actually, I read other things too, but for the most part, I read romance. I seek out romance novels. So what I'm trying to say here is that publishers need to stop. They need to stop promoting a book as a romance when it's not, in fact, a romance. There is nothing wrong with it. There is nothing wrong with a book that's not romance. A lot of people read non-romance books. However, a romance reader like me expect a romance book when we're picking up a romance novel. So those are my thoughts. Anyway, I think that's too much now, but I think I've spoken my piece. Please tell me your thoughts. What are your thoughts about the romance novel discussion issue? Do you expect your romance novels to have an HEA or Happy for Now? Let me know. Let me know in the comment section below. And please keep your comments civil. And we can have a discussion. So this is my opinion. And I am actually interested to hear about yours. So if you've made it this far into the video, thank you so much for watching. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in another hopefully happy video.